Birmingham, Alabama, a city built on iron and steel. From its fiery heart rose Sloss Furnaces, a monument to human endeavor. But beneath the surface of progress, a darkness lingered. For years, whispers circulated throughout Birmingham. Tales of strange occurrences at the abandoned furnaces. Workers spoke of disembodied voices echoing through the empty corridors, shadows moving just beyond the reach of the flickering lights, unexplained cold spots that defied logic. These whispers, passed from worker to worker, took root in the city's soul. Some dismissed the stories as mere superstition, the ramblings of overworked and weary minds. The story of Sloss Furnaces is inseparable from the story of Birmingham itself. In the late 19th century, the city rose from the red dirt, fueled by the insatiable hunger of industry. Colonel James Withers Sloss, a visionary with iron in his veins, saw the potential of this burgeoning city. In 1881, his dream took shape, brick by brick, furnace by furnace. Sloss Furnaces roared to life, spewing smoke and fire into the Alabama sky. But progress came at a price, paid in sweat, blood, and souls lost to the insatiable maw of the furnaces. The men who worked at Sloss Furnaces were a different breed, hardened by the heat, tempered by the danger. They worked in conditions that would break a lesser man. The heat was suffocating, relentless, a living thing that sapped the strength from their bodies and the hope from their hearts. The ground beneath Sloss Furnaces was stained with the blood and sweat of generations of workers. It was a graveyard of shattered dreams, of lives cut short by greed and indifference. Stories circulated among the workers, whispered tales of those who had met their end within the furnace's fiery embrace. Men spoke of shadowy figures, glimpsed from the corner of their eye, of voices calling their names from the darkness. Sloss Furnaces had become a crucible, not just of iron, but of human suffering. Among the many tales that clung to Sloss Furnaces like soot, one name echoed with particular dread: James Slag Wormwood. A foreman, they said, with a heart as black as the coal that fueled the furnaces. Slag, they called him, for the molten residue that clung to his boots, a constant reminder of the inferno he commanded. He ruled the furnace floor with an iron fist, his word law, his temper as explosive as the heat that surrounded them. Whispers followed him, whispers of a darkness that ran deeper than his harsh demeanor. One sweltering summer night in 1906, tragedy struck Sloss Furnaces. James Slag Wormwood, his face twisted in a mask of fury, berated a young worker for a minor infraction. A misstep, a scream lost in the roar of the furnace, and then silence. Slag was gone, vanished without a trace, swallowed whole by the molten maw of the furnace. As the years passed, his demise became another layer in the macabre tapestry of Sloss Furnaces. The death of James Slag Wormwood cast a long shadow over Sloss Furnaces. It was as if his malevolent spirit, unable to escape the sight of his demise, had seeped into the very bricks and mortar. The accidents continued, each one seemingly more gruesome, more inexplicable than the last. Workers reported seeing a shadowy figure resembling Slag, his eyes burning with an infernal light, lurking in the shadows. Sloss Furnaces had become a crucible of terror, a place where the boundary between the living and the dead blurred. The years that followed Slag's demise did little to quell the unsettling events at Sloss Furnaces. Workers, hardened by years of toil and danger, found themselves unnerved by inexplicable occurrences. Tools placed down for a moment vanished, only to reappear in impossible locations. A heavy wrench, left resting on a ledge, suddenly flung itself across the room, as if propelled by an unseen hand. It was as if something unseen, unheard, was toying with them, reveling in their fear. The oppressive heat of the furnaces seemed to amplify the feeling of dread that permeated Sloss Furnaces. And it was within this inferno, amidst the roar of the flames and the hiss of steam, that the voices began. At first, they were dismissed as auditory hallucinations, tricks of the mind brought on by exhaustion and the constant din of the furnaces. But as time went on, the voices grew clearer, more insistent, impossible to ignore. It was as if the very air itself was alive with the echoes of past horrors, the tormented whispers of souls forever bound to this place. The individual occurrences, unsettling as they were, paled in comparison to the symphony of dread that unfolded each night at Sloss Furnaces. As darkness descended, casting long, eerie shadows across the industrial landscape, the true nature of the haunting revealed itself. Footsteps echoing on metal catwalks, heavy and deliberate. Yet when you strained to see, there was no one there. The clang of metal on metal, as if tools were being dropped, dragged across the floor. Yet the source remained frustratingly elusive. A chorus of the damned, forever trapped within the brick and iron confines of Sloss Furnaces, their torment echoing through the ages. The chilling tales of Sloss Furnaces did not remain confined within the steel-ribbed walls of the factory. Scientists, researchers, and paranormal investigators, armed with their instruments and theories, turned their attention to the haunted furnaces. Electromagnetic field readers, sensitive to the slightest fluctuations in energy, were deployed throughout the sprawling complex. Thermal cameras revealed pockets of icy cold in the midst of the furnace's oppressive warmth. Audio recorders captured chilling EVPs, electronic voice phenomena, hinting at a realm beyond human comprehension. The scientific community, divided in their opinions, grappled with the evidence emerging from Sloss Furnaces. Some, clinging to logic and reason, sought mundane explanations for the seemingly paranormal phenomena. They pointed to electromagnetic interference from the old machinery, drafts caused by the vast network of tunnels and chambers, and the power of suggestion influencing the perceptions of those already primed to experience the unexplained. Dr. James Bennett. Others, however, entertained the possibility that Sloss Furnaces was indeed haunted, not by traditional apparitions, but by residual energy, the psychic imprints left behind by years of suffering and trauma. They theorized that the intense emotions experienced within those walls, the pain, fear, and despair, had seeped into the very fabric of the place like bloodstains on a wooden floor, impossible to erase. These residual echoes, they proposed, could be triggered by certain environmental factors like temperature changes, electromagnetic fluctuations, or even the presence of individuals sensitive to such energies. Like ghostly recordings, these echoes replayed the horrors of the past, manifesting as cold spots, disembodied voices, and even the sensation of unseen hands. Section 3. A conduit of despair. The theory of residual energy, while compelling, failed to fully explain the seemingly intelligent nature of some of the occurrences at Sloss Furnaces. The way objects moved, the whispers of names, the feeling of being watched suggested something more than just random energy discharges. It hinted at a consciousness, a malevolent awareness that permeated the site. Some paranormal investigators, delving deeper into the history of the site and the surrounding area, proposed a chilling possibility that Sloss Furnaces, due to its location, its history of tragedy, and the raw emotions it contained, had become a conduit, a beacon drawing in lost and tormented souls from the ethereal realm. These souls, unable to move on, drawn to the familiar energies of suffering and despair, found a haven of sorts within the industrial labyrinth of Sloss Furnaces. They fed off the residual energy, amplifying it, shaping it, using it to interact with the physical world to make their presence known. Whether driven by vengeance, a desperate need to communicate, or simply the torment of their own unresolved anguish, these entities turned Sloss Furnaces into a paranormal melting pot, a place where the veil between the living and the dead wore thin, and the echoes of the past refused to be silenced. These weren't just stories told to scare children or impress tourists. Former workers shared tales that sent shivers down the spines of those who listened. One man recounted feeling a cold breath on his neck while working alone. He claimed to have seen a shadowy figure with glowing eyes vanish into thin air. Another worker described hearing his name called out from the darkness. He followed the sound only to find himself alone in a deserted corridor. The stories of Sloss Furnaces seeped into the very fabric of Birmingham. As Sloss Furnaces gained notoriety as a paranormal hotspot, curiosity seekers and thrill seekers from far and wide flocked to the site, eager to experience the chills and thrills firsthand. Ghost tours, led by those claiming to have intimate knowledge of the site's haunted history, became a regular occurrence, their flashlights cutting through the darkness, their voices echoing through the empty corridors, recounting tales of tragedy and terror. And it was during these tours, amidst the hushed whispers and nervous laughter, that something truly unsettling would often occur. Visitors, initially skeptical, their senses heightened by the eerie atmosphere, reported feeling a sudden drop in temperature, an icy hand brushing against their skin, or a disembodied voice whispering in their ear. Cameras malfunctioned, batteries drained inexplicably, and digital recorders captured EVPs, eerie voices seemingly emanating from the very walls themselves. Whether driven by suggestion, the power of the mind to influence perception, or something more sinister, the experiences left an undeniable mark on those who dared to venture into the heart of Sloss Furnaces. The sheer volume of personal accounts and scientific data created a compelling, if unsettling, picture. Sloss Furnaces was more than just old buildings and rusted machinery. It was a place where the past refused to die, where suffering and despair lingered like smoke. Skeptics searched for logical explanations, dismissing the experiences as tricks of the light or hoaxes. But for those who felt the icy touch of the unseen, there was no denying the chilling reality. The question wasn't if the hauntings were real, but what was the source of the activity? Was it residual energy, psychic imprints of past trauma, or something more sinister, feeding off fear and despair? The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long skeletal shadows across the grounds of Sloss Furnaces. The air, still thick with the day's heat, took on a sudden chill, as if the coming of night had awakened something ancient within the iron bones of the place. We'd spent hours exploring the labyrinthine corridors, feeling the weight of unseen eyes upon us. The palpable atmosphere of dread, the feeling of being watched, clung to us like the soot that stained these very walls. The iron grip of the past held this place firmly in its grasp, a tangible reminder that some things, once unleashed, can never be truly contained. As we made our way out of the heart of the furnace, each footstep echoing with a finality that sent shivers down my spine, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were leaving a part of ourselves behind. The stories we had heard, the experiences we had shared, had left an indelible mark, a chilling reminder that the world is a far stranger, far more terrifying place than we often care to admit. Sloss Furnaces stands as a monument to the past, a chilling testament to the enduring power of fear, of sorrow, and of the mysteries that lie beyond the veil of our understanding. It is a place where the living and the dead walk hand in hand, where history bleeds into the present, and where the line between reality and nightmare blurs. The true legacy of Sloss Furnaces lies not in the iron it produced, but in the stories it continues to inspire. It is a place that will forever haunt our dreams, a chilling reminder that some doors, once opened, can never be truly closed. And as we left the shadows of Sloss Furnaces behind, we carried with us the chilling certainty that the darkness we had encountered there was not confined to those walls, but lived on, not just in that place, but within ourselves. Thanks for sticking around for this extended content. If you enjoyed this deeper dive, let us know in the comments, and we might make extended content a regular feature. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us on social media to stay updated on all things mysterious and unexplained. Stay tuned for our next episode where we explore another haunted location with a history just as dark and mysterious.